Guys, it seems like we are starting to have rejection from this orange line that we've talked about, and this has been bouncing up this range for some time. The last time we came up to this orange line, we had a big crash, and then we came to the bottom, and we had a big pump, and now we've come back up to this orange resistance. And it looks like for now we are getting rejected, and we know that the RSI is massively overbought as well. And, there is definitely room for us to have a cool down and have a pullback. And seasonality-wise, August, sometimes September, can be quite bearish. So everything's lining up for a cool down and a pullback. And, we've talked about this on the channel. I also do updates in my community on a regular basis. So I posted this the other day, just with there were some real red flags that were coming up in this market. And I just sort of referenced to, the market. It took 14 years for the S&P to rise 30% between 1966 and 1980. It took 15 years for it to rise 30% between 1998 and 2013. And then recently, the S&P went up 30% in 90 days. Okay, so it's a lot. It's a huge amount in a very short amount of time. A lot of people made a lot of money. I wish I bought some assets down here, but I wish I'd bought Nvidia, because Nvidia doubled in price here. I think some stocks actually outperformed. I put a lot of money into Solana. They outperformed Solana. They outperformed, loads of crypto altcoins. It was crazy how much stocks went up here. And it is a huge amount of money that people have made in a very, very short amount of time. And also a lot of people were shorting, right? So we know Michael Burry started to put on some big shorts around here, and the price just continued to go to the upside. It feels like a bit of a massive short squeeze, and it's very hard to just keep moving up like this in pretty much a straight line without a cool down. So for now, it's going to be interesting. Let's keep an eye on the RSI and see where it comes down. And obviously, the US dollar was basically on its worst drop since 1986. A weak dollar inflates asset prices and fuels international stock outperformances. Trump was pushing for new tariffs. So this was actually before he rolled out the new tariffs. I posted this. And I said it's starting on August 1st. Historically inflationary, but so far consumer prices remain stable. Then we had bearish Powell, right? So despite Trump's pressure, the Fed held rates again. Powell didn't suggest any September rate cut, which the market was not expecting. So that also threw the markets off. The chance of a cut dropping in September dropped to around 50%. There was loads of red flags that popped up. Obviously, GDP came in good, but then CPE came in hot. There was a couple of other things here I mentioned. S&P approaching 6,500. Nasdaq record highs. So many stocks were pushing into record highs, and the daily sentiment index was flashing at extreme optimism. Okay, and this is historically a classic reversal zone. And that's why I started to look to take some short positions. 70% of current options at the time, obviously this was on the 30th of July, guys. So 70% of current options volume calls were longs, right? The highest since 2021. Again, a classic euphoria signal. Meme stocks, meme coins, NFT, even NFTs started running despite the liquidity stretch. There's so many altcoins and meme coins now, and everyone's a dev, and there's all these liquidity grabs, and it's very hard for NFTs to pump. And it's a massive sign now. I don't think NFTs are going to go and push their previous all-time highs, but the more altcoins there are, the more meme coins there are, the more these liquidity grabs there are, it's going to become very, very hard for NFTs to have a cycle. I actually thought when the casino ends, everyone might go into NFTs, but now there's so many tokens in the ecosystem, and there's so many new projects launching, and there's so many attention grabs that it's very hard for NFTs to try and bring that market in when there's so many new opportunities in the meme coin space, right? So yeah, loads of red flags. If you want to see these updates, I do these probably once a week or so, but I do these big updates about the market. We look at debt. We look at what's going on with crypto adoption. So you can see here, 65% of investors now plan to buy crypto, up from 16%. Okay, guys, that is huge. That's a huge jump. Half of all financial advisors plan to recommend crypto. That is crazy, because financial advisors have only just been allowed to recommend crypto, and that was very recent. It was just after the ETF was approved. And now half of them recommend crypto, not 5%, 10%, 20. We're talking about 50% of financial advisors recommend it. Gen Z is 4x more likely to hold crypto than a 401k. Now, this is good long term, but I said here, it's bad short term. If everyone knows about crypto, everyone wants it, all the financial advisors are recommending it, everyone wants to buy it. Who's the alt season exit liquidity, right? Where is the money coming from? And we know that we're in massive debt, right? Margin debt was growing at the fastest rate since the dot-com bubble. Loads of red flags. People, are in debt. Americans were in huge debt and were unable to pay a lot of their bills. Crazy macro at the moment. So it's very important to look at the macro, guys, and I think it helps us with making decisions. I don't just look at Bitcoin and technical analysis. I would say that macro actually leads the way. You can do all the technical analysis you want, right? But I would say the macro actually leads the market, leads the S&P, and for now, Bitcoin still follows the S&P. Why did we buy Bitcoin and crypto down here when the S&P bottomed? Well, that's kind of where crypto bottomed, right? Why did we take short positions up here? Well, that's where, because it was short in the S&P, that's where crypto topped out, right? It follows the S&P. For now, it still follows tech stocks. And most of the Mag 7 are tech stocks, right? So really nice trades. We obviously took our profit. I took my profit on my Ethereum long. So we started longing when the SMC bot gave us some buy signals. I think we started to take some longs around 1800 Ethereum. And then I took another one around 2500 or so. But really nice trade. Ended up, I think, making $27,000 on this Ethereum long on MEXC. And then I think I made around $7,000 or $8,000 on CoinW. So really nice trades. And then I flipped into a short. So I posted saying, taking profits on my ETH long. We also took profits on XRP long. Opened a hedge short on Ethereum, 3829, 1%. And it's been doing very well, guys. Here you can see my recent. I took a BTC short as well, so I shorted BTC on 40x, and that's now sort of around 90% in profit. Here you can see my post for my BTC short in the Discord, and doing really well. I think my BTC short's currently in $8,000 profit, because I already took 1,249 profit realized, and then still 7.3 unrealized. And then my ETH short just took a little bit off, like almost $1,000 profit. I always like to cash out to the bank because you just never know what's going to happen in this space. So I always take little bits of profit out. So whatever happens, I've got money banked and I can't lose. So around 5,000. So pretty good in total, almost $15,000 there. CoinW, I think I'm up probably about 5,000. So around $20,000 already on these shorts. And, about 35,000 on the long. So really nice transition. And I am sitting in these shorts for now, guys. I do think we are going to see some more downside. We're going to talk about that. So we talked about this yesterday. Really important. We've talked about this pattern we've been in for a very long time, since 2019. We've been in this pattern for ages now. And, it was previous resistance here back in 2017, We had the buy signal from the SMC bot, went into a bull run, and then this was the top, okay? Buy signal from the SMC bot. This bull run, this is where we started to buy altcoins. This is where we started to buy Bitcoin. And again, we've come up to the top, and I've talked about this being a bit of a worrying sign because of what happened last cycle. We come down, M pattern, then we broke and went into a bear market. We come up, we tapped it once, we pushed back up, we tapped it twice. Now, everyone thought that we broke through, and I actually thought that we were going to continue to hold above here, but yesterday, the monthly candle wicked back below this level. How crazy is that? Like, literally, it had a few hours to close above this resistance, but it couldn't close above, and actually we're starting to turn red on the monthly now. And if we start to push down like this, okay, guys, it's going to be very alarming, right? Because we cannot deny how similar it's starting to look to the previous cycle. And this white line is going to be a major level, right? Because last time we broke this white line, it was the end of the bull run, and we actually went into a bear market. Now, everyone is planning to sell in October, November, December, right? You probably see it on socials. We're all going to sell in November. Everything's going to pump in November. Everything's going to pump in December. And, I don't really like to bet on that. I don't like this, pipe dream where we're all going to sell at the same time. As you guys know, I took some profits here, I took some profits here, and then I still have my moon bag left to take some more profits. I'm more of a dollar cost average out. Now, I hope that people who are holding for this Q4 rally get paid. I'm just more of I don't like the risk of that, right? I'm more cautious of this playing out and actually everything coming down 70, 80, 90%. And I don't really want to play that game of, I hope it does this, right? Because that's kind of what everyone is kind of hoping for. I don't like to be in that position, right? I want to capitalize on my gains. I bought down here, don't forget, guys, right? I already made a huge amount of money. Many things done 20x, 50x, 100x, 1000x. I've already taken my profits and made my gains, and this is the area that I'm focused buying again in the bear market. I don't get bullish up here. This is where I'm taking profits out of the market. If anything, I'll take little trades here and there, but I'm focused on the bear market. Where did I make most of my money in my first cycle? Buying in the bear market. Taking profits in the pumps, buying in the bear market, taking profits in the pumps. You literally don't have to be a rocket scientist. The problem with this space is, you sell in the green, you buy in the red, right? You sell in the green, you buy in the red. You've literally got even if you gave this to an 11-year-old child and said, buy in the red, sell in the green. Press the buy button when you come down here. Press the sell button up here. That 11-year-old child is going to be able to follow these simple commands, right? So we really do get caught up in this social media game where everyone's bullish. This is just the start. We're going higher. We're going higher. When the game is really not that complicated, right? We just need to buy in the bear, sell in the bull. It's really not that complicated. Buy low, sell high. And I think sometimes we overthink it. Tom Lee this week said that he predicts that Ethereum's going to go to $60,000. Okay, so if you know what kind of market cap that is, you already know how insane that is. Kathy Wood said that she expects Bitcoin to hit $1.5 million in the next 2 years. So these are the kind of headlines that we need to watch out for and be careful for. These same headlines were here, right, last cycle. Around the top of the market, these were the headlines we were seeing. And projections were getting out of control, as they do around the top of every cycle. And it gives people hope. And, wow, Ethereum's going to 60K. Well, it's only 3K now. I might as well just buy, even if it is the worst time in history to buy, I'm just going to buy it. And then obviously we go into a bear market and everyone wishes they had cash to buy the dip, because that's how the generational wealth is made, right? It's buying when assets are down 60, 70, 80, 90, 95%. It's not buying up here. If you think about all of the people who FOMO'd in at 70K BTC last cycle, they're only about 30% up, right? And don't forget, we might go into a bear market and then have to wait for another 4 years. So, if we go into a bear market and 4 years later we come back up to all-time high, they would have sat and made 30% over 8 years. Okay, so they would have actually lost money to inflation. So it's very, very crucial, and I don't think a lot of people look at it from that perspective. It's no joke buying in these euphoric pumps to the upside when an asset's up 600%, 700%. How did we make nearly 1,000x on Coinbase? It wasn't buying the euphoria. I wasn't buying the hype on the IPO launch. It was actually waiting for the bear market. And then we bought the bear market. We saw it started to go sideways, just like the bear market does every time, starts to go sideways. And then what happened? Coinbase went and done 10x in the euphoria. So that's what I wait for. That's how I've made my money over the last couple of cycles. And I plan to do it again, guys. And, if this time's different, that's fine. I'll wait. And if this time is different, we are going to see this chart go green, 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 green for another year, which has never happened before. Okay. So yeah, we've got some interesting levels. And the last time we had pullbacks on BTC, this is where we took some profits off the table when Bitcoin came up to all-time high. Altcoins have actually never recovered since then, right? Most altcoins are still massively down from where we took profits. So this was a bit of luck, guys, because I didn't expect altcoins to actually top here. I just said I'm going to take profits off the table because who knows what's going to happen. We're up. A lot of assets were 25x up here. I think Casper was up 25x, Render was up 25x. Things were going through the roof and it was very frothy. Everyone started having these high price targets again. And I just said, look, I'm taking some off the table. And then we came back and we bought some more on the dip here. when we came back to support. Okay, I said when we come back to the SMC weekly, the SMC bot, this has historically been the time to accumulate. Okay, then we pushed to the upside. We took some more profits. Why? I said 100K is going to be a big psychological number. It's likely people are going to take profits here. We had a massive pullback. And then this is where we bought again when we came back to the SMC weekly. So now people are asking me, are you planning to buy again when we come back to the SMC weekly like we have every time we have so far this cycle? And I don't know, guys, because at some point this is going to end, right? At some point we are going to go through these stages of green to yellow to orange to red, green to yellow to orange to red, right? We're going to go through these stages. Now, we've been in green for quite some time now, probably longer than the previous two green cycles. And, you know, what stage comes next? It's yellow, orange, red, right? And at some point, this market does come to an end. And I'm quite interested in actually trying to short this top, because if you do manage to get quite lucky, because it does require some luck, you have to hope that the market makers don't send a scam wick up and liquidate everyone, which you could argue they were trying to do over the last day. If you manage to short here, you can make colossal, I'm talking, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50x in USDT, ready to buy the dip. So it can be life-changing, and I do try and want to be in a short position, and I do want to sort of, you know, I don't want to sort of hope that we're going to bounce here forever. You know, the market doesn't work like this. It's not some sort of infinite money glitch where it just bounces and bounces and bounces forever. But what I will say, it's been a while since we came down to this level, and we might get a relief rally regardless, right? If we come down here, even if we are going to break through, it's likely we get some sort of a relief rally. And then if we eventually break, or then we push back to the upside. And then again, if we do push to the upside, I'm going to be looking to do the exact same thing. I'm going to be looking to take a very big short when we come back to this orange trend line, right? So really interesting. The RSI also, the last time when we took some profits and took some shorts, RSI was completely overbought. Back here, RSI was completely overbought. Came to the bottom, RSI was oversold. Came to the bottom, RSI was oversold. So the RSI has actually been quite accurate, guys. And, you know, I'm quite interested to let this market just cool down, come back to the RSI, come back to oversold. If we come back to oversold on the RSI and we come back down to our SMC weekly, I'll be quite inclined to take some profits from my short positions. Okay, so this would probably bring us back to 100K. Depends how fast the price comes down. It could be 100K, it could be 109K. The SMC weekly could move up like this. We're going to have to wait and see where the SMC weekly lines up. But yeah, I'm first of all hoping to see the RSI cool down. And also notice in this massive move to the upside, the volume has just been trickling down. So we haven't seen the volume on this breakout, which is a little bit alarming, guys. You want to see price go up and you want to see volume go up. You do not want to see volume trickling down and the price moving up, because often it can be a false move. Ethereum is the same thing. We've talked about this again, so I won't waffle on, but there is an interesting and alarming pattern happening on Ethereum. So RSI overbought. RSI was overbought up here. And we know that this is massive resistance, right? RSI was overbought up here, overbought up here, overbought up here. And now what I want to see is I want to see the RSI cool down first of all, okay? I want to see this correction play out, let the RSI cool down, and let's revisit and see where we are. Because the last time the RSI was overbought here, the price actually came down by this much by the time we reversed, right? And the RSI was completely oversold. So let's have a look. If we were to repeat the move we just had, it would bring us down to $1,070. So I'm probably going to let the RSI do the talking. I'm going to let the RSI reset and see where we are once it kind of comes to a bottom down here. This broadening wedge is a little bit worrying, right? You see this yellow broadening wedge here. It's turning into quite a consistent pattern, right? We've got multiple touch points here on this wedge. Top, 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 bottom, bottom, bottom. You know, the next move here, if we close below this on the weekly, you know, technically, from a technical standpoint, is down here. I don't know if we're going to see that because of the interest we have from BlackRock, from a lot of the ETFs. One thing that does worry me is the on-chain activity. And, you know, the on-chain activity kind of looks like we've been through a bull run. Like, if you look here, this is kind of where most of the gains were made in this massive euphoric run. And you could argue that this was the meme coin pump fun era. And since then, it's kind of just been, we had this little bit of a Google trend search recently, and it just didn't last very long, right? We had this little bit of euphoria. We all thought we were going to be bouncing and coming back, and then, it was swiftly sold off. And we seem to be going through this market exhaustion where any little pump seems to be sold off, and the interest is kind of dying off. So yeah, we also have the DXY still pumping, guys. We had a buy signal from the SMC bot on the DXY, and the trend is shifting on the DXY. The downside appears to be over for now, and DXY goes up, stocks and crypto tend to come down, and this is clearly, we're seeing money flow out of assets back into the dollar, and it's a red flag, right? It's a consistent trend. The trend is your friend. We can see a conversion here. And something to be worried about is that if this is the top, okay, if this is the top of the market, we're seeing things happen that would usually happen. We're seeing Cathie Wood, Bitcoin to 1.5 million. Tom Lee, ETH is going to 60K, a 20x, right? Or just under a 20x, which would make the market cap so much bigger than Bitcoin, right? We're seeing the headlines. We're seeing some crazy euphoria on X. We know we're in this range where we're about to top. We don't know when we're going to top, but we just know that we're in an area where the market usually ends. The chart also looks like it's going to end, right? Bitcoin was 16K, and we're saying higher at $123,000. Not long ago, people were saying it should be valued at 10K, right? Or it's coming down to 8K. And now higher at 123K. We're seeing the classic signs that tend to happen in this market over and over again. And I don't really want to ignore them. I want to zoom out. Where are we? Over $700 million in longs were wiped out. Everyone is taking long positions, when Bitcoin is just close to all-time high and Ethereum is close to all-time high. We're seeing crazy posts, altcoin season from a lot of KOLs in the space. It's a red flag for me. You guys know I'm preserving money. I'm waiting for this to play out. I'm preserving money for the bear market. And I know some of you might have joined late, and it's frustrating because you want to make money. Well, you're actually in the hardest time to make money. You're actually in a period of time where most people lose money. Okay, most people make money here in the red, and no one wants to buy here because it's depressing, it's miserable. There's no euphoria. Everyone's lost money. Like, all of the people who bought here last cycle were the most depressed people on social media, calling for lower prices. It's finished. Crypto's never going to come back. When actually, that's when I get the most bullish, right? You might see me bearish right now, but you'll see me so bullish when we go red and orange, as I was last cycle, right? I was saying everyone is crying, everyone is scared. I was working another job. I was literally working another job so I could buy even more altcoins, buy even more Bitcoin, buy even more Solana. And that's how bullish I was. Like, I was looking to sell stuff. I was trying to take out loans. I actually did end up taking out a loan to buy, which turned out to be a good decision. And yeah, you'll see me flip, guys. So I might be bearish when it's green up here, but you'll see me flip, and I hope you'll see why. Nothing's guaranteed, but I hope you'll see why over the coming years. So this is my plan, right? Just wait until the data tells us, right? Wait until the data tells us that it's time to start accumulating. Historically, the CVDD has been one of the best charts. Every time we got close to this orange line, it marked the local bottom, or it marked the actual bottom. Every time we come back here, even last cycle with the institutional adoption, with companies buying, with Michael Saylor buying so much, with Elon Musk ranting and raving about crypto, even with all of that new interest, we had a correction back to the CVDD. Is it going to happen exactly the same this time? Nobody knows. Do we have different circumstances this cycle? Yes, we have an ETF. We didn't have an ETF last cycle. We have a lot of institutional adoption. Are the companies who bought Bitcoin experienced in volatility? No. They buy low risk companies. They're not used to having an asset that can correct by 60, 70, 80%. They buy large cap companies. They're very low risk investors. A lot of these companies have bought Bitcoin because stock prices were going up when people bought Bitcoin. Are they the type to panic sell? I don't think so. They're the type to de-risk if there's extreme volatility. So we might see some de-risking if we go into a red downtrend, right? When the price comes down 30%, 40%, we might see some de-risking. Even Tesla did sell some of their Bitcoin last cycle. And I think we're going to see some de-risking. I do think we're also going to see some dollar cost averaging in. So I think we'll probably see some de-risking. We'll see when the price really comes down, if it does really come down, 50, 60%, I think we'll see some dollar cost averaging. So we might divert from this orange, but look how far away we are from this line, and it's been so consistent, guys. I'm not going to fade the data. Not only that, we have the SMC bot as well, right? So we also have the SMC bot. There is no way that Bitcoin escapes us without getting a buy signal, right? Because it would literally have to never come down that much again, right? Every time we come below, we're going to get a buy signal because of the moving average. And, we also have the bottoms indicators, right? Look at these green bars. They pop up when it's time to buy. So bottom indicator here, bottom indicator. I also am tracking on-chain data, right? So I can actually see when all the smart money are buying. Buying the bottom is not a problem. Shorting the top is one of the hardest things you can do. We don't have all of these indicators that actually tell us when the market's going to top. All we have is this technical analysis. And, that's why I'm quite interested in trying to short this support range. Above it, fair play, bullish. Below it, bearish, right? It's a simple resistance line, short resistance, long support. And right now we closed below on the monthly again. Timing the top's very hard. It's very, very hard. Timing the bottom, I would actually say it's easy. And now we have even more tools, right? Now I have Glassnode. I'm spending thousands of dollars a month on some of these indicators that I have access to. And we have so much data now. I think it's going to be very, very easy to time the bottom. And I'm looking forward to the bear market, right? Because I think when crypto bombs, I think the S&P is going to bomb. I think stocks are going to have a massive crash as well. I don't think some stocks. Nvidia is up 17x. Nvidia is up 17x. The largest company in the world is up 17x, and I mean, guys, you can't make it up. I think we're in for a big shock. Something we do have is Trump is in office, and Trump really wants to get rid of Powell and put someone else in. So I would like us to go into a bear market now, and when Powell comes out and they put someone else in, we know that he's going to cut the rates by too much, right? Trump cares about short-term pumps. He doesn't care if the market dumps when he leaves. If anything, it makes him look good if the market dumps when he leaves. So that might be another play, guys. So take into account when he leaves office, S might hit the fan. So there is a lot of different macro situations that we need to take into account, but the market's pumped a lot, right? Everything's pumped. Everyone's calling for insane price targets. And, we're in this game of chicken now where we're like, when is it going to end? And who's going to be the last one to take profits? Because someone took profits. Those dormant whales who started selling at 120K BTC. Great sales so far, right? I mean, I would, that's a great target. I wouldn't complain. Also, another red flag. There's so many red flags. We had these dormant whales coming out after 14 years and starting to sell BTC, and everyone was going buy, long. Crazy. But yeah, a sign of the times that those wallets are starting to sell. And there's going to be wallets who are holding into 80K, 88K, 85K thinking, I should have took profits last time this happened. We came down to 16K. I should have took some off the table. We're breaking key support lines. Maybe we're not going to see this Q4 rally. It can end at any time, guys. It's not a joke, this space. And when you've been going up for so long, you get into this mentality where, this just happens month after month, year after year. I just buy every little dip. I just buy the little 3% dip here. I buy the 5% dip. I'm going to be up next week. Doesn't happen forever. It doesn't happen like that. guys, none of the information in this video is financial advice. Do your own research. Investing in crypto is highly risky. You can lose all of your money investing in crypto, in stocks, in anything. So always do your own research. If you want to follow us, if you want to see my buy and sell alerts, so these take profits and trades I'm taking in the, if you want to see these calls in the Discord, head over to X. Here's the name for my account on X, the bottom one, not the top one. And click this, and then head over to my X and then click the link here, and that will take you to the Patreon, and you can join and get involved with us, and you can see all the buy and sell alerts. It's not just my trades. I pay for a professional leverage trader in the Discord as well, who gives pro trades and ideas and setups. I do macro updates. You can see my portfolio, what stocks I'm buying. Stocks, I have a little bit of a different strategy to crypto. So I'm heavy trading crypto. I'm not, because it's so volatile. It doesn't make sense to hold. I wouldn't like to hold through this and lose most of my gains. I'd like to actually try and capitalize on those. So I am a swing trader, so I do take a little bit more risk. But stocks, I'm just going to buy red days. I'm not going to try and swing trade stocks, because most decent stocks just go up over time, whereas most altcoins go down over time if they don't come back, right? So it's a completely different game to the stock market game. And stocks, I just buy red days. And I don't buy little 3% pullbacks or 2% pullbacks. I buy when we come back to support levels, right? Like we did down here. When you come back and have these massive pullbacks to support, that's where I tend to buy stocks. And they're I think Nvidia was down 50% in this pullback. So, it came down 50%. I think a lot of stuff came down 50% actually in that pullback. And, those are the times that I want to be snagging some of these stocks. Guys, let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're buying. Let me know what your plan is in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to have a Q4 rally? I want to know your opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of these videos. Press the bell notification button as well, and so you get alerted whenever I do videos. I'm going to keep you updated with the trades I'm taking. For now, I'm staying in shorts, just seeing how the data plays out. The S&P futures is red again today, so unless that turns green, I don't really have to worry. DXY is still green. I mean, these are the two things I'm looking at right now, right? The S&P, the DXY, gold, not so much, still going sideways. Maybe the VIX, S&P and the DXY, which I think a lot of people aren't looking at, right? They just look at BTC by the dip, but you have to be looking at the bigger picture, guys. You have to be looking at the macro, right? That's it for now. Until then, I will catch you in the next one.